Elliot Warren stood in the middle of the courtroom, the mop still in his hand, as the entire room fell silent. "I will protect her," he said, his voice trembling with a mixture of fear and resolve. His calloused fingers tightened around the mop handle as if it were the only thing keeping him upright. At the defendant's table, Ariana Lockhart, the billionaire whose own lawyer had just abandoned her, lifted her head and looked at him with utter disbelief. None of them knew that this simple moment would mark the beginning of the unraveling of one of the darkest conspiracies in American corporate history. The autumn sunlight of New York filtered through the tall windows of the Manhattan Federal Courthouse, casting streaks of light across the marble floor that Elliot Warren had just finished cleaning. At 5 in the morning, just like every day for the past 15 years, he was already there, a 45-year-old man with brown hair beginning to turn gray and deep brown eyes, dressed in a Navy maintenance uniform with the word maintenance embroidered on the chest pocket. The tiny apartment in Queens was still pitch black. When he left at 4 a.m., the room had only a single bed, a small stove, and a bare wall adorned with just one photo, the wedding picture of him and Sarah from 17 years ago, before cancer took away the woman he loved. Beside it was a picture of their daughter Mia, now 20 and in her final year of college, though in the frame she was only 5, smiling brightly in her mother's arms. Elliot didn't turn on the lights when he left home. Winter electricity bills were high, and with a salary of $2,800 a month, every penny mattered. Breakfast was just black coffee, toast, and food he packed from the courthouse's basement. Cafeteria, a small privilege for maintenance staff. That morning, as he pushed his cleaning cart down the third-floor hallway, Elliot paused in front of courtroom 302, what he considered the place for the biggest cases. And today, one of the most significant legal battles in New York history was set to begin. The lawsuit against Ariana Lockhart, the tech billionaire worth $14 billion. He didn't hear about the case from the news. He didn't own a TV, but from the nights he spent cleaning that very courtroom. He had seen the polished mahogany tables being arranged, the state-of-the-art presentation systems being installed, and the countless boxes of documents wheeled in under guard. He knew the weight of the air in that room, the scent of old paper and new fear. He knew it better than anyone, for he had not always been a janitor. Once he had been Elliot Warren, J.D., Harvard Law, the youngest partner at the prestigious firm of Calder and White, a legal prodigy with a brilliant future. That was before the case against Omnicorp, the pharmaceutical giant. Elliot had led a whistleblower lawsuit that threatened to expose their dangerous side effect. Cover-ups. He had been so sure, so righteous. But Omnicorp had resources that reached into shadows he never knew existed. Evidence disappeared, key witnesses recanted or met with unfortunate accidents. His own firm, under pressure and financial threat, withdrew support. The final blow was a bar hearing where manufactured evidence of professional misconduct led to the revocation of his law license. Broken bankrupt from legal fees and hollowed by grief after Sarah's subsequent illness, a cancer he couldn't afford to treat properly, he vanished into the anonymous, grey world of custodial work. The courthouse became his purgatory, a daily reminder of the system that had shattered him, yet he never stopped studying. In the silent hours, he read discarded legal briefs, followed case law on the library's public computers, and mentally tried every case that passed through the building. His mind remained a razor-sharp legal engine, now trapped in a body pushing a mop. So when the Lockhart trial began, he watched from the periphery. He saw the army of sleek lawyers from the opposition, a consortium of rival tech giants and a corrupt union leader, all aiming to destroy Ariana Lockhart and seize her revolutionary clean energy patent. He saw her own legal team nervous and outmaneuvered. And he saw her. Ariana was not the arrogant titan the media painted. In the early mornings, Elliot sometimes saw her alone at the defense table. Her billionaire's composure cracked, staring at a photo of her late father, the original inventor. Her eyes held not greed, but a desperate determination to protect his legacy. The trial was a farce. The judge was biased, the evidence was tainted, and the legal theatrics were designed for only one outcome: her destruction. On the fateful morning, Elliot was cleaning the gallery when Ariana's lead counsel, after a closed-door meeting with the judge, publicly quit, citing irreconcilable differences. It was a staged betrayal. The message was clear: no one would defend her. The consortium had bought everyone. As Ariana sat utterly alone, the judge callously asked if she wished to represent herself. The gallery of vultures leaned forward. That was the moment. Elliot saw the photo of Sarah and Mia in his mind. He saw another person about to be crushed by the same monstrous machine that had taken everything from him. It wasn't a calculated decision. It was a seismic eruption of a justice he had buried for 15 years. The mop clattered to the floor as he stepped forward. Every eye turned to the janitor in the stained uniform. "I will protect her," he said. The silence that followed was broken by snickers, then outrage. The judge threatened contempt, but Elliot spoke again, his voice now steady, citing Rule 17.2 of the New York State Civil Practice Law, which allowed for non-attorney representation with the court's permission. In extraordinary circumstances, a rule so obscure even the judge had to scramble for his book. And given the apparent conflict of interest permeating this courtroom, Elliot continued, his gaze sweeping over the shocked faces of the opposition. The only conflict-free representation available to Ms. Lockhart is, in fact, me. Ariana, in her disbelief, saw something in his eyes, not pity, but a fierce, knowing fire. She whispered, "Do you even know what you're doing?" Elliot met her eyes. "I know exactly what they are doing, and I know how to stop it." With nothing left to lose, Ariana nodded her consent. What followed was the most unprecedented legal battle the courthouse had ever witnessed. Elliot, still in his maintenance uniform, cross-examined expert witnesses with surgical precision, exposing flaws in their data they didn't know they had. He objected with citations from memory, outmaneuvering million-dollar lawyers. During recess, he would return to his closet-sized janitorial supply room, now a makeshift war room, piecing together clues he'd passively gathered for years, a muttered conversation between two corrupt executives in a hallway, a discarded draft memo in a trash can. The financial ties between the judge and a shell company linked to the consortium. He used his invisible man status to his advantage, becoming a ghost in the legal machine. The story exploded in the media, the janitor attorney. Public sentiment swung violently. People saw a David versus Goliath story, a symbol of hope. Donations flooded in for Ariana's legal defense, but more importantly, whistleblowers from within the consortium, inspired by Elliot's courage, began to come forward with hard evidence. The conspiracy started to unravel from the inside. The climax came not with a dramatic courtroom speech, but with Elliot presenting a simple, undeniable chain of emails and bank records obtained legally through a paralegal friend from his past life who now believed in him, that proved the judge's bribery and the coordinated plot to steal the patent. The case was dismissed with prejudice. The conspiracy collapsed, leading to federal investigations. Ariana Lockhart's legacy was saved. In the quiet after the storm, Ariana offered Elliot anything, a fortune, a position as general counsel of her company. He refused it all, asking only for one thing: her support in reopening the Omnicorp case that had destroyed him. With her resources they did. His name was cleared, his license reinstated. But Elliot did not return to a skyscraper office. He used his settlement to found the Warren Foundation, a non-profit located in a modest office in Queens, dedicated to providing legal defense for the powerless against corporate and systemic giants. He often works late, the photo of Sarah and Mia now framed on his new desk. Sometimes Ariana visits not as a client, but as a friend and the Foundation's primary benefactor. The man who was once broken by the system now stands as its most formidable and humble repairman, proving that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision that something else is more important, and that sometimes justice wears a maintenance uniform. If you were moved by this story of silent, heroism, and the unwavering pursuit of justice. Remember that stories like Elliot's remind us of the power of one voice to change everything. For more inspiring tales of courage, kindness, and truth in the face of overwhelming odds, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories. Your support helps us bring more of these powerful narratives to light. Thank you for watching, and remember, justice can come from the most unexpected places.